Welcome to the Podcasket and Company. This is our very first YouTube video live stream. So, my name is Basket the Goblin. My co-host is Vixillium Vixen, and our tech guy, Nameless Phoenix. How's it going,
Howdy.
guys?
I feel like trash.
We all feel like trash.
I hate the YouTube scheduling method.
Yeah, we had some technical issues, but that's okay. We got through it. We're good. We're Gucci.
We're alive.
We're alive. This is our first YouTube thing. Oh, we made it. Yeah, did it. So today we are actually going to be talking about Asian words. Oh my gosh. And yet I rehearsed this in my head so many times. So we are going to be talking about Asian attire throughout the centuries. So we're going to be talking about Japanese attire and Chinese attire. So, yeah, you guys excited?
Let's start a fashion show, baby.
Oot, 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 oot.
And also, this is part one of our mini series. Be sure
So,
to subscribe to check out for future episodes.
yeah.
And don't forget to check out our Twitch channel for future content.
So this is part one of a five-part series. So the next one we're going to be doing is health and beauty and spas. Yeah. But for now, let's get started. Yeah. Who's ready to go first?
Allow me to take you back in time. A time where aristocrats were
Yeah. Uh,
They were flourishing? Oh my god, Vixen went too far back in time. Oh my god. We
she
lost her.
she went back so far she poofed out of existence.
Oh my
no,
god.
not quite, my friends.
Oh,
For I
she's
am
back.
about to take you to the Heian period.
Ooh.
This was a time in Japan when aristocrats ruled, and the capital at the time was Kyoto or Heian-kyo. And the and the fashion I would like to talk about is those that are worn by aristocrats and noblemen.
Yay.
Now, as you may know, some people are aware of Heian on appearance as with long hair, very common with both women and sometimes men. But did you know that during the Heian period, they have a thing called silk robes called, please excuse me for this, uh, junihito or junihite.
Do we have a picture? Or
Send one,
not?
I guess.
So basically, it is called junihite or junihito, or as translated, 12 layers. The
Oh
reason
my.
why is, which I will be getting to, which are worn by upper class women and mainly have like 12 or even 40 layers of unlined silk. So,
And I thought the Victorian era was like the layers that they had was pretty bad. Jesus.
oh, but they're not just ordinary layers. They're actually layers made from silk, and they come in a variety of colors, like
Ooh.
yellow, blue, and red. Sometimes even pink.
If you're lucky.
Well, if you want to see examples of clothing such as this, why not visit a museum or watch or look at pictures of these multi-layered dresses. I mean kimono. Please excuse me. I am not worthy. But or
It's okay. It's okay.
you can
The
look at the tale of Genji, which actually takes place in the Heian period in Kyoto. And it talks about the lives of the aristocrats and a charmer named Genji.
Question. Was
Yes.
he able to use his family's spirit sword, no spirit dragon channeled through his sword and kill someone instantly in one swing?
That sounds like
Not.
Inuyasha. What the hell?
Well, not exactly, but Genji actually did poetry. He also basically tried to woo women of the royal court and also teach young people of how to be proper women.
So a
But,
man taught women how to be proper women?
well, actually, it was a child, but you have to understand, this was a different time era.
Yeah.
And if you actually want to see more about the tale of Genji, well, the tale of Genji, why not just look up videos of it? And there's actually an anime that's actually based off of that tale. And it's
Ooh.
so well animated, especially for its time. As for the men of the court, they would actually wear hokutai, which are basically worn by noblemen, aristocrats, and emperors. It's like I said, Heian-kyo, or Kyoto, is home to the emperor. They also have these ankles length robes called kosode. Now, as for the colors, they are also pretty important, and they're indicators of ranks throughout the world. But it's hard to imagine the nuisance. Well, then, well, it's hard to imagine that. But there could be dozens of shades of red available to dye, like the common being red, which are mostly found in a lot of kimonos in Japan. But most of them would usually be reserved for men in specific ranks of the courts, and would usually be another shade worn by women. Except, of course, there are shades called kurenai, a shade of crimson, just like Kurenai Yui from Naruto. This can actually be obtained from a flower called the safflower, which is also reserved for the ladies of the imperial court, for those whom the empress favored. A woman's outfit can also be selected. While select color selection could be indicated all kinds of information based on rank, age, material status, location, ceremonial occasion, or courtly favors. You also got to remember those Heian period court women, long hair, and of course, they weren't just there for a reason. Oh, and Phoenix, would you like to go?
Hmm.
We will now travel to Phoenix's first time.
I uh
Inappropriate
I'm not.
joke withheld.
yep. Yep, that's we don't need to know about his first time, but yes.
uh,
I'm not talking about first
Oh,
time, but the
Vixen,
first
I
time
actually
period of. Oh, yes?
Vixen, I actually sorry, Phoenix, you're gonna have to wait on your time travel there, buddy. But what about the jewelry worn? Is there any wow, I can't talk today. So is there like any oh, oh, words are so hard today. This sucks. So, the jewelry, is there
Well,
any is there like jewelry? Oh my god. Oh,
jewelry.
hold on. Give me a moment here. Hold on, I need to sip my coffee here. Hold up. Hmm. Oh, words. My goodness. So is there like a specific set of jewelry worn by certain members of the royal family, or is it what's their significance?
well, some would actually wear ornamental hairpins. This was kind of common, and it could be used by both men and women,
Okay, I was gonna
such
ask
as
that.
wildflowers or branches.
Hmm. So does like certain gems and jewels like does that go also with the ranks as well, or no?
Possibly. And usually depending on age, but hairpins were very common.
Yeah.
Oh, and bracelets too.
Really?
But they
I thought
were
it was just
made
like,
from possibly stone or different material.
so it wasn't always like jade then, right?
Not exactly. Jade was more of China, to be
Oh, okay.
precise.
Okay. Phoenix, are you ready for your time travel, buddy?
Take it away, Phoenix. And I don't mean your time.
uh, huh. Hmm. My apologies. I had a lot of material to sort through, but didn't really get a chance to process it fully. Got it. All right. Here's. All right. I guess the Mandarin shirt, what wishers now call a Mandarin shirt, is actually a form of dress that dates back to the ancient Han Dynasty in China. At the time, it was called the Zhu and was J-U, or Zhu maybe,
Or Joe?
and it had a round neckline with an off-center fastening. Usually, one of a pleated skirt called a chu, and again off-center. They're fitted. They're very fit to the body and closed on the right side of the neckline and shoulder. Had to be either long or short sleeves, but generally have short sleeves. Their edges are often finished with a binding of contrasting color. It's often seen in figurines from the Han era and was a basic dress for many centuries. From the 7th and 10th centuries, the Sui and Tang dynasties spread Chinese culture throughout a lot of Asia, which is why the Mandarin shirts are now dressed in many parts of Asia.
Anything else you'd like to add?
Hmm. About that, I don't really I don't really have a lot. I've had a busy week about on that topic. So I don't know much about the topic.
I understand. Here, how about I give you a dumpling instead? Or a
Yay!
couple. Here, have many
Dumplings!
as you.
Oh, huh. Although a piece of surprisingly a piece of Chinese attire that people consider commonly Chinese that was a 20th century thing. The Trong Som
No.
is the dress that most Westerners associate with China. It's long, close fitting with short sleeves, a slit up one side, a mandarin collar. There's a stand up, a highly vertical collar that's worn close to the neck, and it's fastened across the right side of the upper chest. Also known as the key pat, or the you get Chung Song. Forgive me, I do not speak Mandarin.
It's okay. We're not the best either.
It's the national attire of Hong Kong, and was originally created as a blending of Chinese and Western attire. It first appeared after the Qing Dynasty, a Qing, again, probably mispronounced it, which had ruled China since 1644. At which point,
Just a
huh?
sorry, sweetie.
Huh?
Just a disclaimer. A lot of the words that we're going to be speaking are going to be mispronounced, so don't try to
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
like come after us and troll us, please. We're trying. We really are. So, sorry, I just had to put that out there. So please continue.
At which point, China modernized very quickly. It's supposed to be around that time that the Chinese women were no longer given bound feet. A barbaric practice that butchers the feet so much that a woman can never need special shoes just to do anything. But that's a different topic entirely.
To my understanding, the bound feet was for women of power and money, so they wouldn't have to do anything.
Ouch. Still,
But I also could be wrong.
it's sort. Well, you know how a lot of those cultures are. Once the wealthy or the royals do something, everyone else starts trying to copy it.
I mean, just like now in the celebrities, so.
Yeah. You know how it was common for Japanese men to shave their hair back way up to the top of the scalp. That's
Yep.
because the samurai would have helmet hair to the point that the helmet would rub against their scalp, causing the hair to wear away. And then people who weren't samurai would see that and start copying it because the samurai had that kind of hair.
So another man's baldness became a trend. Joy. Oh. Fashion statements are weird.
The cheongsam was made with traditional Chinese fabrics, which of course included silk, and had a traditional collar and fastening, but much of the form-fittingness and all these other details were distinctively Western-inspired. Or in other words, the Chinese wanted to have the innovations of China, but in a distinctively Chinese fashion. But it went out of style once the Chinese Communist Party took over.
Which was during the 1960s.
It actually started around 1949.
So basically after World War II.
I guess, yeah. However, it would appear Hong Kong and Taiwan haven't abandoned it. Makes sense, actually. Hong Kong and Taiwan don't want to be part of what's now the Chinese mainstream, do they?
Yeah, well, technically, Hong Kong was returned back to China back in July of 1997. Which also marked the end of the British Empire.
Uh, and that's when Qin was sent in to stop an invasion of 1.2 billion people upon Hong Kong. I'm sorry, that was a joke based off that Hong Kong 97 game that the AVGN reviewed.
Oh boy.
That game was horrible. Well, that's probably all I can do at the moment without hopping cultures.
It's alright. And now, ladies and gentlemen, and people of all gender identities, let me bring you forward in time past the Heian period, and now we have arrived at the Sengoku period, a time which is known as the Warring States. A time like powerful shoguns and generals such as Oda Nobunaga, Hideyoshi, and Tokugawa Ieyasu. This was a period when samurais were probably the most important part of this period, for they're the that are part of trying to fight others that are controlled by the shogun and the daimyo. This was a time when Japan was separated into different provinces, and this caused a lot of trouble. But why don't we look at the fashion of these warring people, these warriors, shall we? Forgive me, I do not have correct lines, but anyway. Oh, sorry.
No, you're okay.
So basically, to give it briefly, the Sengoku period was basically based off of like armor or basically superior like structures. I mean appearances, such as the hitatare, which was one of the standard styles of samurai dresses. It consisted of two pieces, such as a long sleeve jacket and a hakama, which are basically trouser shorts. As for the shogun, during the feudal era, well, during the Sengoku period, it can often it can usually be portrayed as one that's sitting down on a zabuton, which is basically a traditional Japanese cushion on the floor, and wearing long black kimonos, along with a black hat. However, it is believed that in everyday life, shoguns also wear warrior armor, similar to what were worn by the samurais and daimyos. So think of it as like a, you know, chest armor, shoulder armor. And not only that, but samurai have also been known to wear these helmets called kabuto, which is basically helmets in Japanese. And helmets also have different kinds of attire on them, like antlers or horns. Sometimes they even have the symbols of their clans.
Ooh.
Some armor can even come in different colors, like black, metallic, and sometimes, again, red. But samurai were not just one person. Samurais were actually hired by shoguns and daimyos, and it's to serve their masters.
So they were hired assassins?
You can hire a samurai.
Oh boy, I've always wanted a samurai for my birthday.
And some of the weapons that were pretty big back then were the halberds, which were used by both were sometimes samurai and also warrior monks of Buddhist temples.
Hmm.
But you never thought a monk can kick ass?
I
Well, now you
mean,
know.
They use martial arts as a training for both the body and the mind,
yeah.
physical and mental discipline.
Anyway, now let us fast forward to the 1816 to 1800s, known as the Edo period. This period and lasted from the 1600s and ended at around 1868. This was also the same time when the capital was moved from Kyoto to Tokyo, which was formerly called Edo. Now, in
Yay.
this time era, Japan is in its early phases of becoming modernized, but that doesn't happen completely until the Taisho period, which lasted from the mid 1910s to early 1920s, basically before World War II and the Great Depression.
Ouch.
I mean, it happens.
Yeah.
And this was just before the Meiji period, also before Taisho and World War II. But there has been one traditional thing that has been really popular in this time era, which is kabuki. I'm sure most of you know what kabuki is, right? It's kind
Stage
of like
theater.
these exactly, and they have people dressed up in like long hair, makeup, or mask,
Yeah.
which usually used to
Kabuki
represent the
mask.
characters.
And
Now, Kabuki. Oh, continue.
I was going to point out that that's where the ninja came from, as the whole image came from that the stagehands in those shows would often play assassins, and the term being a shortening of the kanji used in Shinobi no Mono.
Hmm. I think ninjas were pretty big during the warring period. Because I know they didn't have ninjas during the Heian period.
Yeah, ninjas pretty much assassins and secret agents or special agents, and Kabuki invented the actual concept that we're familiar with, as that's basically a stagehand outfit. Pretty much. Sorry for the interruption. Go on.
It's okay. But anyway. In Kabuki plays, actors appeared on stage in dazzling costumes. And as mentioned, Edo was renamed into Tokyo in the 19th century. But even today, kids will be seen dressed in kimonos and tabi socks, rushing to get on subways. However, teens and tweens are interested in accessories that will be fashioned like a variety of tortoise shells, gold and silver hairpins, combs, and one mirror ornament with rice plant designs on the back. But during this time period, European and Western influence were slowly start to get in, but before the end of the Edo period, Japan actually closed its doors for over 200 years.
Ooh.
This was to kind of prevent Western influences such as religion, but the only West European country that was allowed to trade with Japan was the Netherlands. But they can only do it on a certain port in Kyushu,
Ooh.
which is a southern island in Japan, just south of the Kansai region, or which includes Shikoku and not Kansai. Forgive me, Kansai is not in Shikoku. Kansai is in southern Honshu.
Yeah.
But Kyushu is
Kyoto,
basically south.
Osaka.
Um, Kobe, Nara, but basically Kyushu is south of Shinkoku, which is an island just south of Osaka. So basically, but that was until Matthew Perry came around during the 1800s.
Use those good old fashioned British hard.
Actually, Matthew Perry
tactics.
was American.
Yeah, and he used the famous colonial tactics of, "We're here, do these things. We're more powerful than you," and it worked, as far as I understand.
Yeah, and they actually had that movie. Was it with Tom Cruise or something? The Last Samurai.
Yes, ma'am.
I saw a
Um,
movie about Matthew Perry, but not that one.
Isn't there an actor named Matthew Perry?
Yeah, played Chandler.
Yup. Sorry, anyways, continue, Vixen.
well, in the addition to certain influences, yukatas, which were commonly worn as casual clothing in this time period. But unlike the heavy kimonos, which are made of silk, yukatas are actually made of cotton. And I'm sure most of you anime folks out there that see characters in yukatas. That's because, thanks to cotton, it's actually a lot lighter to be wearing instead of silk in the summer. So, definitely something to wear if you're walking around Japanese festivals.
Yep.
And just like kimonos, yukatas can come in different colors: pink, yellow, blue, you name it. But as for kabuki actually has a whole variety of different styles, masks, and even performances. And here's a little funny thing: the kabuki actors were played by dudes, even if the dudes did play female characters. But there is a reason for this.
I was about to ask, is there like a major reason for it, or?
Yeah, because it kind of made the women pretty Shakshi.
Uh,
And it was pretty somewhat promiscuous.
Mm.
So to kind of mix that up, they decided to use the male actors to play women's roles and such. So think of it as kind of like a Shakespearean play. Well, a classic Shakespearean play where the male actors play female characters.
Pretty much. Think about the children!
But anyway, the actors would usually dress up in with like long hair. Usually it would be dark brown or black, and sometimes red. They even wear makeup,
Hmm.
which is like pale, and sometimes eyeliner.
Onagata,
And for the yep,
female
and
impersonator.
sometimes, and also there's the no mask, such as masks like the Hanya mask, which is basically a female oni, usually to represent women that have either been cursed or are evil. And some actually had different colors. Usually ones with like gold horns usually represent women of higher power or, you know, higher social rank.
mhm.
There are also no masks such as those that are being worn as comedical, like ones with those silly little clown masks with the circular mouth.
Yeah.
And then there's the kame, which is this happy woman. She has a chubby face and she smiles. And let's not forget the oni. Yes, oni were also used in kabuki plays, usually to represent the antagonist of the play or story.
Hmm.
Onis can also come in different colors, just like masks. And of course, there's the kitsune mask. Kitsune mask can come in white, gold. It can even have fur on them, usually to represent an element, such as fire or water.
Hmm.
What's more fascinating is that kabuki can also represent action and fighting. Some very well known kabuki plays include The Tale of the Gallant Jiraiya and Suzano, who actually fought against Yamata no Orochi. Even when it comes to spider yokai, played by kabuki actors, someone actually issued string threads to usually represent a spider shooting her web. Pretty cool, huh?
Uh,
It is pretty
yeah.
cool.
But do you know that in Japanese superhero shows, oftentimes the characters would have sparks when struck as a callback to kabuki, in which fireworks would be used to so that they didn't actually have to make their actors bleed?
Hmm,
Yeah, that's why Japanese superheroes spark when hit.
fascinating.
So, Kamen Rider, Super Sentai, Power Rangers, Kabuki.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's pretty cool.
However, kabuki did have some problems. During the Meiji period, basically when America was getting with, the whole influence, kabuki theaters were temporarily closed during that time. And the same can be said during World War II. But as of today, kabuki is still being performed in Japan. And you can actually see some performances today.
E.
And also study the dances of kabuki. Some can be elegant, some can be hard and powerful, or some can be just plain silly.
Doesn't Kyoto still practice that stuff?
Kyoto,
Yeah.
they still do it, and they still have the geishas as well.
Mm. Now I'm pretty sure they don't do what they did back in the day, but
Also, as of 2008, It was inscripted by the UNESCO representative list of intangible culture heritage of humanity.
Hmm.
Ooh.
Hmm.
They're a very rich culture.
And that's what's
And
amazing about it.
they
Even
also
for
document. They all. Sorry.
no, continue.
I was gonna say they also document everything as well. So they're pretty good at doing that.
So,
Well, not everything because I had trouble finding some stuff.
ah, so do you know what a Kuroko is?
Kuroko, like Kuroko no basket.
It's the basically the Japanese term for a stagehand. Whereas in European theater, they would oftentimes at most you would hear a little bit of mumbling from off stage or a hand coming in, bringing something into the set that just out of sight. In Japan, they just figured put have the guy wearing all black or all dark blue have a sort of a flap over the face so you can't see their face, indicating they aren't in the scene. And they would move things around on stage as the actors performed.
Huh.
However,
Interesting.
however, when things were set during the time of the Shinobi no Mono, they figured, hey, people can't see the Kuroko, right? Give him a sword. And then they shortened the kanji, and removed some symbols in Shinobi no Mono. The result was the word ninja. And that's why we have all these images of robed, black-clad warriors that are invisible and have all these magical powers.
Well, mostly there's like smoke bombs. There's and to climb, they actually had these special kind of hand claws on the center of the palm. It's used to climb up things like stones and wood. They can also be found on their shoes.
I'd imagine those were based off actual equipment used during the Sengoku period.
I believe they are.
Whereas the actual Shinobi no Mono and Kunoichi would dress up and act and talk like people native to the area, make themselves look like they belonged. You're going to kill someone at a construction site? Dress like a construction worker and kill them using construction equipment, right?
Hmm. Possibly.
But then again, it's all part of the show. It's not supposed to be completely true to real life, is it?
Well, most shows are in Kabuki are based off of myth, such as mentioned, the tale of the Gallant Jiraiya, or tales about fighting yokai, which is going to be one of our topics in a future video.
Jiraiya was a very interesting story, and it's kind of a shame that people only know him from Super Sentai or Naruto.
Yeah. Unless if they get the hair of Jiraiya, which is also based off Kabuki.
Oh, excuse me. Sorry.
You are excused. And now, my friends, take my hand, for I'm bringing you to the modern age of Japan. Between the 1960s and today. Here we go! Now we are in the modern age of Japan. It's past World War II. Japan just recently finished up their economic boom, which was during the 50s and 60s, and now currently going through a population decline. But their fascination and also their culture does not fade away as of today. For many of us worldwide continue to be astounded and amazed by the amazing culture of Japan and their fashion. But first, I want to talk about uniforms. You remember those uniforms that you see in anime, right?
Boy,
The sailor
howdy.
suit?
Yeah, I mean,
Oh, but don't be peeking up just yet, for there is a history behind them. For you see, the majority of Japanese junior high schools and high schools require students to wear uniforms. It's not only a symbol of youth, but they also play an important role in the country's culture. Not only that, but some uniforms actually come in different colors, and some schools actually have bizarre designs for them. I think I did see one image of a schoolgirl's uniform being dressed up as Hatsune Miku.
hmm.
But the real term for it is seifuku, or scales down sailor uniform. This uh, this uniform was actually brought down from Europe. And as for the workers, which are basically the working people of Japan, tuxedos and also formal dresses, well, not really formal dresses, but uniform dresses like skirts or blouses, are commonly worn for workers in Japan in office work. For there is actually an office cult, or rather a controversial office culture in Japan, such as wearing heels and also certain mannerisms and also pronunciations when it comes to working in Japan. So, you gotta dress up proper, which is still being talked about today when it comes to working standards, especially if you've seen the anime Agretsuko and kind of tackles that situation. But how about for some more funky and hip stuff for all you cool kids? How you doing, fellow kids?
I am also a kid.
We're all children at heart.
Let me take you to a certain district in Japan, in Tokyo, called Harajuku. And no, I do
Ooh.
not mean the Gwen Stefani song. Basically, Harajuku originally started back in the 1970s, and it garnered a lot of attraction as a hip crowd for young teenagers to dress up in colorful attire, sometimes customizing with accessories, such as colorful purses or bracelets. The same can be said for t-shirts um, and skirts. Some even dye their hair in a really funky color, and also put funky makeup on their eyes. So the 70s were also kind of a time when things were starting to get funky for not just Japan, but also America.
Are you talking about there's also one style there too that requires you to paint your entire body brown and have extremely
Uh,
white or pale or blonde colored hair.
I think it's a lot of like tanning aids and stuff, and accompanied by a lot of exposure to the sun.
No, it was more. It wasn't exposure to the sun. It was just all.
Ooh,
It was all makeup and everything.
that's even more.
Yeah.
That sounds even
That
less hygienic.
that's my friend is called Gengoru,
Yep.
or as I like to call it, Japanese blackface.
Well, I like to call it Japanese grunge because it required you not to shower or bathe. But one of the requirements for that style is to not smell. Which, again, you don't shower or bathe, so,
A lot of deodorants
you
and
know.
perfumes and
Oh.
colognes
Mm.
to cover up the odor, make you smell
But
normal.
it was more because of they wanted to keep their dark face appearance and that dark skin.
And
and
I,
the amount
yeah,
the amount of teasing and hairspray you do to your hair. Oof.
interesting.
Mm.
It's very interesting considering that the average Asian reaction to someone having dark skin. But
Well, it was more of like orange, so it wasn't really blackface as they called it.
true.
It was very oof.
More like putting on a
It was a
very
very
intense tan.
Yup, it was a very gross style. Very
Which
gross.
thankfully is starting to become rather faded in recent years.
Well, now the desired look nowadays is a very pale porcelain. So they traded the orange phase for a white phase. Not trying to be rude or anything,
I know.
Well, some Japanese actually use parasols to, block themselves from the sun.
yep,
Some can be made of cotton or
and silk or
ba-
paper.
or bamboo.
Yeah,
I mean, wood. Either way, mostly bamboo.
I mean,
And in the addition to Harajuku, is that in the 1980s, one of the streets known as Takeshita Street became known as the teenage street dancing groups called Takenoko Zoku. So
Bamboo
basically,
tribe.
Oh, you're right. It is Bamboo Shoot Tribe. So basically, Harajuku is like a hip little street for teenagers to get like the latest fashion and also decorate and design. And it's also home for a lot of crepe shops. So you can definitely get some sweet crepes over there.
Nice.
Goth can also be pretty common for amongst the youth.
I was about to say, can we like take some time to appreciate their goth? their gothic, their gothic scene there.
E.
Sorry, you can continue, Vixen.
It's okay. But Lolita is actually a fashion subculture, which is usually influenced from Victorian and Edwardian children's clothing. And no, we do not mean the book.
Vixen.
But basically, it's very distinctive property of Lolita that is aesthetic of cuteness. And yes, this is a subculture of many substyles, which include gothic, classic, and sweet. Many times, such as sailor, country, hime, meaning princess, goru, meaning gore, oriental, punk, shiro, white, or kuro, black. There's even steampunk.
And actually, I recently found out too that they're very into tea time. So,
Entire ceremonies based around drinking tea.
yep, they have tea parties, and they also have varies of restaurants that they go to or cafes that they go to go have tea.
They actually do have tea places in Japan.
Hmm but that's more of like westernized though, not their traditional tea.
I mean, let's not forget the maid cafes.
Yup. Don't they have like a reverse one for the males?
Oh, they're called butler cafes.
Yeah. Butler cafes. There we go.
No, Fujoshi Fuel maid cafes in which all the maids are dudes.
what? There's a
Fujoshi
male maid.
rotten woman means rotten woman and refers to women who are essentially extremely perverted and would, among other things, really big on guy x guy stuff or male cross dressing and things like that.
Oh. Oh my. Oh my.
Other fashion types include kogal or kogu. Sorry, koguyaru. Koguyaru, which is based off the look of high school uniforms, but with shorter skirts, loose socks, and often dyed hair and scarves as well. This is a pretty popular style in the 90s, but is now in decline. So basically, kind of rebelling out of the uniform, or just not being in school.
Weren't those considered the gangsters back in the day?
A little bit, but there's also bosozoku, which is basically another 90s fad. Basically portrayed as wearing jumpsuits, usually worn by manual laborers, and usually would have a kanji slogan on their overcoats.
If I recall, the overcoats were based off the gakuran used in middle and high school, but much, much longer, and possibly accompanied by the kind of cap that might be worn for formalities in schools.
Hmm. Also,
Was that a JoJo
fellas.
reference?
Sorry.
Sorry.
Dang it, basket!
I'm sorry.
No, Jotaro in JoJo and Boss Burot in the Mazinger series were indeed based off, the boss types wearing those exaggerated uniforms that weren't official unless you were a part of the cheer squad.
Sorry, I couldn't help it. I saw it and I had to take it.
Well, yeah, now you know where characters like Jotaro and Boss Burot came from in terms of design.
And fellas, if you really want to see a prime example of gothic lodi of fashion, just look at Baby Metal. The singers of Baby Metal is what I'm saying.
Give me chocolate.
Megitsune. But there's also Decora, which is very similar to Harajuku fashion. This style originated back in the late 90s and early 2000s, and it rose to popularity both inside and outside of Japan. This has actually been amplified by the singer Karie Pamyu Pamyu, which you probably know her for Pon Pon Mashite.
Oh, I actually heard that song too, yeah.
Song, so cute.
And yes, it has arrived in Harajuku and has since been prominent since her musical debut. The wear patterns usually consist of pink decora, red decora, dark decora, and rainbow decora. A plain t shirt and a hoodie was often worn with short tutu like skirts. The hair, often worn in low ponytails with long bangs, and makeup itself tends to be quite plain. So basically, minimal makeup. However, the most significant part of decora is to pile on many cute accessories until the bangs of the hair are barely visible.
So what's the point of even having bangs?
I don't know, maybe to kind of outline the face. But stockings, leg warmers, arm warmers, and knee socks are also worn over in different layers, commonly detailing leopard patterns and dental mask. Dental masks are basically worn commonly by Japanese people that either have they're sick or have a cold.
Or to not breathe in the amount of pollution that they have in the air.
They're also used as a form of
Or
anonymity, but which was unfortunately also done by gangs or other troublemakers, again, because those masks covered the face.
most of the gang members used to paint paint thinner or other stuff so they can put it over their face and they can sniff it. It's a little fun fact that I know.
Hmm.
Yeah, so they were constantly high. Poor things.
However, the style has been since decreasing in popularity, but it still has a large following worldwide. As for the visual KEI, this was created during the mid 80s by Japanese musicians of striking makeup, unusual hairstyles, and flamboyant costumes similar to Western glam rock, and glamour metal. Well, glam metal. So think of like Monty Kroll or Guns N' Roses.
Pearl Jam?
That too,
Oh no, wait. Platinum Blonde?
probably. However, kimonos can actually still be bought today, but there's some that are quite expensive.
It's the
And,
economy, so.
well, actually, it is extremely expensive to be wearing kimonos. There are some that are kind of cheap. But you can basically have a variety of clothing that's been going on for thousands of years. And
Oh, wait, hold on.
Are you okay on your end?
oh, right up, oh, sorry. Oh, you okay?
Uh, Cutting in and out.
That's just my end or is that everybody?
Oh. Before I start talking more, Scarlet Rebel said, Vixen is this beautiful gothic looking fox girl with some Lolita clothes, and then Mama Basket is the big Mama God lady with a lot of tough and big on hammer for drama types. Aw, chat.
Pardon?
Look in the comment section. I mean, love chat.
In which chat?
Love chat.
In the live stream chat?
Yes.
Yeah, I posted in the Podcasket thing.
We're all roboting.
Oh, we're fine now. We're good now. Phoenix, you sound pretty good.
I guess Discord
Vixen?
was messing up. Vix?
Vixen?
I'm alive.
Okay, so what did you say? I just heard my name and then someone else's name.
And Gothic and Girl and...
Yeah, that's what I heard.
Okay. Scarlet Rebel said, Vixen is the most beautiful gothic looking fox girl with some Lolita clothes, and then Mama Basket is this big mama goblin with a toughness and a big bond hammer for drama types. Maybe that should be the weapon of your character, a bond hammer.
A Bonham. Banhammer.
Bond hammer.
Now I'm just picturing Basket the Goblin as like Thor.
By the
Instead
power of
the,
Asgard, I have the power!
by the power of Discord.
I am Basket.
Mama Thor Basket. Jeez.
We have a lot of fun here.
Yes, we do. We had a little hiccup there from Discord. Jesus.
Discord.
Jesus Christo.
Huh?
Jesus Christo. But with the whole addition of Silk, Japanese silk actually has dated back for like probably like more than the Silk Road, which is basically a road that's stretching from China, India, and all the way to Europe. And take a guess of which one particular one particular insect made all that silk. Take a guess.
The Silk Road?
Hmm.
What? You talking about the Silk Road?
Yeah. If you're
I
not
had
sure, I'll.
I know, I had a brain fart. I was like, Silk Road? What?
It is the silkworm.
Ba, 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 ba.
Just one tiny worm creating all that silk and lots of money to be sent all over the old world, well, the known world at the time.
He.
However, once a silkworm starts to,
Starts to
become
silk.
become
A moth?
Sorry.
starts to pupate, it starts to become a silk moth, or as by its scientific genus name, Bombaix. But usually it depends on the species, though.
Yeah.
It's amazing what animals can do. And here's a little fun fact. The Japanese word for silk textile is called gofuku. And no, we do not mean by go fuck yourself. It's called gofuku.
You can go Fuku over there. Vixen.
Gofuku yourself.
Go Fuku yourself.
Go Fuku yourself, or the go Fuku yourself.
God damn it.
So basically, you want me to do myself in a silk textile? Well, textile. I'm not sure if the colors of the silk is gonna be appealing. I mean, I'm sure it'll just be
All the big messies.
So. Anything else you would like to add?
No, not really.
Well, I guess I can go fuku now.
Go Fuku. Uh. Miniseries. Ah.
uh, here's here's one. The ho is the outermost robe of the ceremonial form of dress called sokutai, the Japanese equivalent of the Western man's formal suit. Nobles were wearing sokutai back during the Heian period, and today the crown prince wears this in official ceremonies. The ho is a robe of a finely woven silk that is transparent and extremely stiff from having been starched. It has large open sleeves that reveal the layers below. Huh.
And I forgot to mention, there is one period I forgot to touch up on, which is the Taisho period.
Oh, what is that?
The Taisho period is basically a period from the late 1910s to mid 1920s. This was a time period when Japan was starting to become a lot more westernized, and classic traditions were starting to fade. You'll probably notice that if you've seen Demon Slayer. But people would still wear kimonos from time to time, but Western outfits like tuxedos and blouses have started to become a lot more popular during that time period. Not only that, but trolleys or the rail carts that people will use to get to work were pretty common in Tokyo. Also, hats were starting to become a bigger thing at the time. Especially if you've seen a character named Huzan, which is the main antagonist of the anime. But I also want to give a little thing. When time changes, perspectives and also appearances change, such as clothing. And that's one thing I would like to take a moment to reflect on our views of fashion.
Ye.
So, like Shuten Doji. I think we might talk about Shuten Doji in our folktale video, which will be technically our Halloween special. The folklore episode will be part 4. So basically, this is part 1. Our next part will be health and beauty. Part 3 will be traditions and festivals. Part 4 will be folklore. And then our finale will be food.
Did you just say food?
Yeah, that. Spooktober. Yep.
Spooky month!
See. It is spooky month! Okay, so 2, 3, 4, 5. So yeah, technically the folklore episode will be our Halloween special. So would anyone like to add a bit more on clothing and fashion?
I guess that Date Masamune, a samurai famous for his embracing of Western ideas to the point that his squads actually had European-inspired muskets, went so far as to wear European-style military boots with his armor.
Another thing to point out is that by the end of the Edo period and also the beginning of the Meiji period, the shogunate's power actually died out. Same with samurai. And that's when kabuki started to become a lot more popular. What?
Then when kabuki started to become more popular, cut off.
Oh, sorry. As I was going to say, when kabuki started to become a lot more popular, this was around the same time when the shogunate's power kind of died out and samurais were starting to fade. Because like I said, during the time period, certain traditions were starting to fade.
I'm back.
I'm 4th.
I'm trash.
I mean, we're all trash here.
We're all trash here. You must be 2, or else you wouldn't be here.
Damn.
Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. Classic story.
So what did I miss?
I think I was basically talking about like how things change and how certain traditions disappear.
Oh yeah, it happens.
Ah, right. Date Masamune's acceptance and embracing of Western ideas and innovations actually went so far that it's actually been exaggerated in games to where he has motorcycle style handlebars on his horse's equipment, and randomly shouts lines in English. I doubt the motorcycle handlebars thing was accurate, but who knows? He may have used English in his dialogue. But he did wear European style boots with his armor, and use muskets.
Oh yeah, I think they started to use guns during the feudal era. I think they were like, one of the early designs of guns.
The Tanegashima, the Japanese version of the musket rifle. Coincidentally, that Oda Nobunaga was really, really big on guns because he knew that they would give him an advantage against his political enemies. So when Europeans would come by, he would talk to them. He would trade with them because Europeans brought things that the Japanese didn't have.
And the Americans.
True, Americans too. Well, if they were a thing in his time. There's other stuff I could bring up about it, but that's more of a historical bit that's not really related to anything I brought up. You got anything
So
else?
that's. Oh,
Sorry.
anything else you want to add, Basket? Oh, sorry. Please continue.
Well, the one thing that we didn't actually bring up was the shrine maidens.
Ah,
Or Mikos.
Yep. And that was in the Shoto period, I believe. Or the Shinto period.
yeah, kind of like a fusion of a priestess and of an attendant.
Well, they used to be seen as shaman or shaman women.
Ah,
But their lives were mainly consumed by daily tasks and daily routines in the shrine.
from the moment they became shrine maidens to the moment they got married, their lives were dedicated to the shrine or temple and to the gods that was dedicated to.
Or
Because,
Mm-hmm.
Kami, as they're called.
huh?
Or Kami, as they're called.
Yeah, and that was because the purity requirement meant that you had to be a virgin.
Thus is why they wear white. But they're also seen as wearing trousers as well.
Yeah, like some kind of robe or skirt or pants along with a white that was red.
So the red pants were called Hikamara or Hikamara.
Hakama.
Hakama. There we go. Thank you. And they were
Well,
either scarlet or Vixen actually sent it to you too.
Vermilion.
Yes, thank you. So I'm guessing it's a red version
Kind
color.
huh.
So they were long trousers and or slightly plated skirts tied tied with a bow.
They also wear garments pulled over their kosore, which are kimono robes, during kagura dances, which are called chihaya. Chihaya.
Huh. So that's what that item in Disgaea 5 was. The Maiden's Chihaya.
That's actually a type of dance.
Huh. It's a type of armor in Disgaea 5. I'm guessing it's the type of robes worn during that dance.
There's also a different kind of tool that the shrine maidens would use. If you've seen Inuyasha, then you probably will recognize a certain kind of bow.
Yes.
The traditional Homiko tools include the Azusaya, I mean Azusayumi, which is Catalpa bow,
Hmm.
which is actually a bow and arrow.
Ah, that kind of bow.
Mm-hmm.
The character Kikyo is known for using this. And Kakome. There's also the Tamagushi, or offertory Sakai tree branches, which are actually a form of Shinto offering from the Sakai tree. A Sakaki tree.
Hmm.
And they're often decorated with shades of strips of washi paper, silk, or cotton. These are used in weddings, funerals, miyamari, or traditional Shinto rite of passage in Japan for newborns, and other ceremonies at Shinto shrines. But we'll talk more of that when we get to traditions.
Mm. That's going to be later in the series. Yay!
Part 3 Part 3.
4? Or 4?
Part 4 is folklore.
Oh, yeah.
But Miko's or
I like how you remember everything and I'm just over here I have the notes. I should know this.
we've got a
Jeez.
lot to learn, sweetie. We've got a
Oh
lot
god,
to
do we
learn.
ever. Oh.
But other than bow and arrows to kill demons, like in Inuyasha, the Mikos also use bells, drums, candles, and bowls of rice in ceremonies.
Don't forget the paper things. The paper
Oh,
seals.
oh yeah!
The
Yeah.
seals that were famous or used in Asian cultures to put blessings or curses upon stuff.
A lot of monks in anime are portrayed using them as weapons. If they were fighting monks.
Also depicted as being used to control the Chinese equivalent of a zombie, because after a century of sitting in the earth collecting the spiritual power of the world and the people in it, it might come to life, or apparently, and be this spirit devouring creature that could jump several hundred feet and land on you with devastating force. I'm not even going to try and pronounce the word because I've apparently been saying it wrong all this time.
What is it?
Jiangxi, Jiangshu, whatever.
Jiangxi. Jiangshi.
Or if you're Japanese, Kyonshi,
Kyonshi.
which isn't which is that which is refers to the Chinese thing, but it's how the Japanese say it. Sorry for the derail.
It's okay.
But yeah, those papers used for casting healing blessings or curses and sticking it on whatever the paper's on.
And also to basically seal things like rocks. Or certain items, to be precise. And there's a saying for when you want evil to be gone. QQ Nori Suyo!
Humo Vuevai Vivi Zao. Humo Vuevai Vivi Zao. I probably mispronounced it, but that thing Uncle says in Jackie Chan Adventures pretty much means demons be gone, or evil be gone. Yeah. Evil be gone.
I'm surprised you remember that line from that show. Can't believe how long that show aired.
No kidding. It was a pretty good show, though.
Yeah.
Although, even though the character wasn't really voiced by Jackie Chan, I think it was his brother.
Yeah, he did speak a little too clearly in that series, didn't he?
One more thing. Jay didn't sound very Chinese.
The grandfather.
Despite
I hate it when he said that. One more thing, and just like, what?
So Jade apparently lived all of her life up until the start of the series in Hong Kong, and people in Hong Kong speak English with a heavy Chinese accent, right?
Yeah, because, as I've mentioned briefly, Hong Kong was ruled by the British.
So why did Jade sound like she just came out of California?
I mean, she was still she was still pretty young, so for all we know, she could have been learning English over there.
It's more that she sounded so California.
Well, she's the fictional niece of Jackie Chan. But she's already been Americanized. And she's voiced by Stacy Chan and Lucy Liu!
Whoa. What?
Well, future self.
Uh,
And as for Jackie Chan, he's voiced by James Suey, but his real self does appear during segments.
Yeah.
At the end of every episode.
To be fair, the Jackie in the show is like in his 20s or 30s, whereas the actual Jackie would have been in his 40s or 50s by the time the show started. So, that's already a big break from reality.
I'm surprised I didn't get a Bruce Lee cartoon.
Did he last long enough to be part of the cartoon boom the celebrity cartoon boom that got the Harlem Globetrotters and Jackie Chan and
Mike Tyson.
Mike Tyson mysteries. Oh, do you know why there's a lot of jokes about Chuck Norris but none about Bruce Lee? Because Bruce Lee wasn't a joke.
But his son was, No, I'm just kidding. I'm sorry. Sorry, that was like horrible. That was horrible. I'm sorry. He was an excellent actor. He did very well in The Crew.
You're excused.
Don't kill me.
I'm not going to kill you.
Don't kill me. I love you.
I know. You treat me like I'm your sister.
Yeah. Everybody's family here.
Virtual group hug!
Yay!
Oh shit!
Hugs.
Hugs all around. I appreciate everybody's existence.
And I'm happy to be alive.
Fucking same.
E.
So, anything else we want to add?
Not sure. I can't think of anything.
Nothing really. I think we covered everything, unless you have other stuff to add.
Not exactly.
Yeah, not really.
So I guess we're done.
Guess.
Alright. Well, thank you for watching part 1 of our 5-part mini-series about Asian cultures. Tune in next week when we talk about health and beauty. And if you want to...
spas!
Heck yeah! And if you want to subscribe, if you want to check out more episodes in the future, please subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit that bell! Also, be sure to check us out on Twitch, where we stream every Saturday at around 9 or 10 p.m. Central Standard Time. Or Eastern Standard Time, depending on where you live, but it's mostly Central Time. Anyway, you lovelies have a good night.
Don't forget to like and comment.
Sayonara!
Bye!
Johnny!